Hello hadn't come on yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the 2 o'clock hour. Let's be real. That's where all of our audience is. What's up, Jerome?
Stop that. That's not
let
true.
me start and from the get-go and say, yeah, your show sucks. No, clearly it doesn't suck, or I wouldn't be listening. Get out of here. You know it's good.
Well, no, Jerome, no, but you have
either.
you have commented, though, that I am pretty much clueless on everything.
I never said that.
I read it in an interview you did. You said I know nothing.
Then you are clueless because you have some serious reading comprehension issues.
I'm just going by what I read. You said I'm a wacky, funny guy, but I'm pretty much clueless.
And that makes you great. I took it as negative.
No. See, these are the things that bother me. Like, we want to talk about the weird mental issues I have when Rich talks about the text.
I think, Jerome, correct me if I'm wrong. Your use of the word clueless was more a life description than a sports knowledge description.
Exactly. I'm like, he's nuts. And he's a joy to listen to. He's the most entertaining guy on the radio in the city, as far as I'm concerned.
You're taking it the wrong way.
See, that's what I do, though. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle things.
I didn't realize you were that
Hence, clueless.
Now, on the dictionary definition of clueless, let me get into Rich and what he just said about Andy Pettitte.
Go right ahead.
No, part of it is just it hasn't been reported and done well by the media. Andy Pettitte did not change his story at all. From day one, when he first said that, you know, he had this conversation with Roger, and then a few years later, Roger told him, no, that's not what we talked about, or that's not what I said. Pettitte immediately said, and this was during his deposition, before Roger said the misremembered, he said, oh, I figured I must have got it wrong. So when he comes back in the trial and says the same thing, everybody acted like he changed his story. He didn't. He didn't know what the hell he remembered from the get-go, and it's just been poorly reported, and people believe now that Pettitte changed his story. He didn't change his story about he never used steroids, then he decided he used them once, and then he decided he used them twice.
Okay, point taken. Point taken on the changing the story thing, and I'm glad you made that distinction. But I still have a problem with this I'm not sure what I remember type stuff. I mean, that's like I said, that's not, you know, did you like that steak last night?
No,
that's a conversation about HGH. You don't forget that.
It wasn't. That's the problem, though. People have it turned into something, all this deep, dark, you know, lengthy conversation. No, they were working out, lifting weights, and Pettitte said something about HGH. Roger said something about HGH in response. Pettitte thought he said Roger used it. A few years later, Pettitte brought it up and said, hey, Roger, remember you told me that HGH was good for recovery? And Roger said, no, I didn't tell you that. I told you my wife used it one time. And he said, oh, okay, my bad. I got it wrong.
So you think the Rocket's clean?
Oh, that's a whole different story. That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is, Pettitte has no information at all about Roger using anything. He had one lousy conversation in all the years that they've been around each other, and the conversation, he doesn't remember what it was about. The conversation lasted 20 seconds, and people have turned this into Pettitte was an eyewitness or something, and it's ridiculous because it's just not true.
Well, I mean, not to our knowledge, you know. I mean, none of us obviously know exactly what went down, but I just think it stretches credibility to assume that Pettitte did it and admitted to it, that Debbie did it and admitted to it, that they worked out together, they worked out with McNamee, he's a known provider of this stuff, and that Roger never touched it. I have a hard time with that.
But how does it stretch credibility when neither one of them said Roger did it?
Because I think Roger's, because I believe Roger is a control freak, and there's no way that stuff would be going on around him without at least his knowledge, if not participation.
That's crazy. Pettitte has said over and over again that he used, and he didn't consult Roger about using. So you're calling Pettitte a complete liar, but then you're saying, oh, well, he told the whole truth about what he remembered about one conversation. It's amazing that people have turned all of these lies into one big truth that they want it to be, and that's my point. I'm not saying Roger's clean. I have absolutely no idea, but I know damn well Andy Pettitte didn't. Andy Pettitte never said he was dirty because Andy Pettitte doesn't know. You know what I mean? And, and his wife, Debbie, took one shot one time. And people turn that into you know,
to the best of our knowledge. Right, to the best of our knowledge, it was one shot, one time.
Well, what other knowledge do we have, Rich? We have what she said, we have what Roger said, and we have what the guy who gave her the one shot said.
I understand.
If there was somebody else saying I gave her 50 shots, then we'd have some debate. There's nothing to debate.
All right, so Jerome,
people on the planet who said she ever did it said she took one shot one time. So what do you mean to the best of our knowledge? That is the only knowledge.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, this is a discussion fueled largely by opinion because there isn't a whole lot of evidence or damning testimony to make us completely sure of what happened and what didn't happen. So it's just my opinion that I find it hard to believe that this didn't happen.
But that's my point. How can you jump to that opinion? That's idiotic.
Isn't that your opinion?
Hold on. No, it is idiotic. If somebody told you that he took one whiff of a marijuana cigarette years ago, and you go, well, you're friends with Jerome. Clearly, Jerome's a dopehead, pothead, too. That's stupid. And that's what you're doing in this case.
I disagree that that's the same thing, first of all. And let me ask you this. Didn't you just say that your personal opinion, you pretty much, if someone asked you yes or no answer, do you think he did it? Your answer would be yes?
No, I didn't say that. My answer would be I have absolutely no idea.
Well, what if that's not an option? What if it's a yes or no question?
What do you mean? This is America. We got options. I have no idea. I can't go yes or no. I have no idea.
Okay.
There's nothing to tell me that I can stand there and go yes. I'm not going to risk my life on a yes or no on something I have no idea what he did. I mean, I'm like you. I have an opinion, but how can you jump to an opinion and be so hard on it based on so little fact? And your facts that you're using are not even facts. You're turning in Andy Pettit said something that he didn't say.
Well, I mean, I think we're splitting hairs on the Pettit thing because you're right, and you were technically correct that I made the mistake about saying that he had changed his story, but I think the point still is that I have a problem with his vagueness on this subject. I don't think it's something that he would ever be vague about if this had gone on.
But that may actually be more evident in Roger's favor, Rich, because you can't be vague about something that went on a bunch of times. You can be vague about something where you had one conversation that lasted 10 or 15 seconds 15 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, do you remember every conversation you've had? And you may say, I thought you told me this. And the guy goes, no, I didn't tell you that. And you go, oh, my bad. I guess I got it wrong. I mean.
No, I understand what you're saying.
You and Josh have those conversations every day.
Right.
And I hear you saying, I never said that.
Well, and look, I'm the one who just said a few minutes ago that Josh is a cynic by nature, but I'm pretty cynical, I guess, when it comes to this topic of PEDs in particular in Major League Baseball. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's an emotional side of that to me. I do feel somewhat betrayed by almost an entire generation of baseball players who did it by cheating.
I get you. I'm the same way, but I try hard to at least be fair. And you don't have it's a weird thing. You don't have to be as fair with Barry Bonds because he's admitted to doing something. You don't have to be fair with Andy Pettit. He admitted to doing something. Roger Clemens has never admitted a damn thing, and there's only one person on earth who ever said Roger Clemens did anything.
Right.
And that guy's a low-down, dirty scoundrel. So if you're going to believe him over everything else, that's a bit much. That's unfair.
Right.
Roger might be taking a needle up his butt right now for all I know, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me ask you this before we let you go. And Jerome Solomon called the hotline. Odd Couple had the interview last night. Berman also had him. Roger's only doing a handful of the interviews. He said that last night multiple times. You work in the media. If you had 2-3 questions to ask Roger Clemens, what would you ask him?
I need to get you a subscription to the Chronicle. I talked to Roger last night for 35 minutes or so. I asked him a bunch of stuff. I mean, I don't know him. I never covered him. I wasn't a big fan of his. It's not like he and I are buddies or anything, but he did call me last night and we talked. And I asked him the same thing you would. I know you didn't do it, so you say, but what do you say to those who believe that you did? You know? And he's adamant. I can't deal with these people. There's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is keep saying I didn't do it. If you don't believe me, what the hell else can I do? You know, you remember, you know how when somebody is accused of something, especially a Hollywood celebrity mostly, will go, well, if it wasn't true, you would sue. Well, Roger did sue. He sued McNamee for defamation of character.
And it was thrown out.
Say, well, if you didn't do it, you'd be screaming from the mountaintop. Well, Roger's been screaming for 4.5 years. I don't know what else an innocent man could do. Of course, guilty guy would do it too, maybe. But you know what I mean? In America, it's so unfair to me that we can be judge and jury and convict someone over such flimsy evidence. It happens every day to poor people in this country. The jails are filled with guys who are in there for things that they didn't do. And that's injustice. It's also an injustice if we do it to a rich guy. It's injustice if we do it to a white guy or a black guy. Please. Just because everybody in baseball was cheating, you know, just because a guy is 42 and he's a better pitcher, put up bebetter numbers than he did at 32.
Well, I mean, that's not a just because.
So did Nolan Ryan. What was he on? You know what I mean? He was better at 42 than 32. It's that you got to give me better evidence than that. And the government did everything they could to find one other person to say, I gave Roger dope.
Well, and Roger also had a better lawyer than the government did.
Wow,
That's usually what happens in these cases. If you want to talk about ammunition, it's usually the defendant that has more bullets in the chamber from a representation standpoint.
Well, that's certainly probably the case, but the government had unlimited resources.
I understand. Hey, listen.
The government did all they could to get him, and they didn't get him. I mean, have you seen that map of all the people they interviewed from all over the place? They had 93 feds, 93 feds working on this case. And McNamee said, Roger had his own stuff sometimes, and I had it a couple of times, and he only shot him a few times. Where did Roger get all this other stuff? There's nobody else on the planet? Or did Roger pay off everybody he's ever bought from? I don't know. But if he did a damn good job of getting away with it.
Well, listen, it's good to know you're listening.
Oh, hey, no, I enjoy what y'all do. Y'all are both nuts, but that's all right.
Jerome Solomon,
and listen, Jerome,
Crom.com.
I'm going to pick up the paper tomorrow.
No, he's not.
That's what I'm going to do.
He's going to go to the website. He's not going to pick up the paper.
You need to prepare better for your show, and I wouldn't call you clueless, Josh.
Well, no, here's the deal. I don't feel that I have to read the Chronicle to be prepared for the show.
And now Jerome is poking the bear.
See, I don't feel like
he is a big fat bear, but that's all right.
Jerome, I ain't got nothing but love for you.
We got to go.
Nothing but love for you, but I just don't feel like I have to read the Chronicle to do a show.
What? That's fine. That's good.
And now it's my bad for asking you the question.
Hold on a second. And I don't have to listen to your show to do my job, but I listen to your show because you're entertaining when I'm around and driving and so on. I like what you do. I think you like what I do, so you should read the Chronicle more often because that's where I am.
I've told
and we got to leave it at that.
And Jerome, we do have to roll.
Thank you, Jerome, on the Bud Light Hotline.
But I'll find you on Twitter. But also I will say this. I've told Jerome this many times.
Right.
Out of all the people that have written columns for the paper or are writing columns for the paper, I think Jerome is better than a lot of the other guys that do it, especially more so than Dick Justice, who I thought was terrible and a flip-flopper. I didn't pick up the paper, even look at the website today. Generally speaking, though, when I do go to the Chronicle's website, I'm going to read something that Jerome writes. I will look at columns because I think we can build arguments from columns, but I don't care about the game report on the Astros game in the paper the next day. You get that 10 minutes after it happens on TV.
Well, Jerome referenced the exhaustive resources or the exhaustive effort and the resources expended by the government in attempting to prosecuting this case. With the Odd Couple last night on Sports Radio 610, Rocket addressed the testimony